It's sad to say, in the whole entire world, as great an actor as Bela Lugosi was, there was no one else utilizing Lugosi. I mean, where were all these people when Lugosi needed them? I don't know, but Ed Wood was there, and Ed Wood was the only one.
Wood's next film was The Bride of the Monster, and of all his work, it's probably the closest to a mainstream commercial picture. He started it in 1953, but it wasn't finished until 1955 because, as usual, Ed had great problems in raising the cash. Ed finally raised the money from an Arizona farmer who took a small part in the film in return. Bela Lugosi was teamed up with another of Wood's favourites, a 400-pound Swedish wrestler called Tor Johnson. Bride of the Monster was to be Bela Lugosi's last ever speaking role. He plays Dr. Eric Vernoff, a crazed scientist who wants to create a race of atom-charged supermen after being spurned by his colleagues.
I will perfect my own race of people. A race of atomic supermen which will conquer the world.
The film also marks the debut of one of Wood's regular characters, Kelton the cop, played by Paul Marco.
I wonder what that fool Kelton is doing now.
Paul Marco named Kelton the cop after this West Hollywood street, where he still lives today.
Kelton is always very energetic. Yes, sir, yes, sir. Can I help you, sir? And all full of energy and wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, you know? And can't do enough for you.
Come in. Here's the late additions, Captain. Look, why can't I work on this case?
Get back to your desk.
Yes, sir.
Kelton,
Yes, sir.
I told the boy to bring the papers in himself.
Yes, sir. But if you ask me...
I didn't.
I'm always going into the office, and I said, can I go out on the caper, sir? Can I? And he said, no, go back outside. And I said, yes, sir. And I always get sad, and I said, yes, sir, no, sir.
Yes, sir.
And Kelton,
Yes, sir.
where's Lieutenant Craig?
In his office, I think.
Send him in.
Yes, sir. Right away, sir.
That's about Kelton's whole dialogue is yes, sir, no, sir, yes, sir, in several scenes. And I finally do go out and look for Lugosi, the mad doctor.
Now, Professor Stravowski, you will get a much closer view of the product of my genius.
By now, Lugosi's career was in decline, and he had become heavily addicted to hard drugs.
In his later years, I understand he was taking formaldehyde. And the night that when Ed wasn't going to let me drive him home until Bela said, I got to have Paul drive him home. And that's the night which I watched and witnessed him take an injection. And I'll never forget it as long as I live. It just brought tears to my eyes. And his eyes were just as shiny like stars when he came out and says, now I feel better. Let's go. And I just felt like crying. And we went, and that's night, which was a long, cold night. And that's the night that he had to fight the octopus and get into that little water pool. And he did great because I think he felt a lot better since he had the shot.
I don't think Bela ever recovered from that, from the drugs he was taking. He was pretty debilitated. But Eddie tried to help him along as best he could. I mean, he looked after him because Bela got awfully sick, and he couldn't even go on during the day, during the making of the movie sometimes. But he tried his best, and Eddie tried, and what more could they do?
Home. I have no home. Hunted. Despised. Living like an animal. The jungle is my home.
Lugosi was always very fond of the speech that he makes about home, I have no home. For 20 years, I've lived in this jungle hell. And he was so fond of that particular speech that he would be walking with Ed Wood on Hollywood Boulevard and then all of a sudden go into it and start reciting it.
I was classed as a madman, a charlatan, outlawed in the world of science which previously honored me as a genius. Now, here in this forsaken jungle hell, I have proven that I am all right.
Wood's next vehicle for Bela Lugosi was to be a horror film. He'd scraped together just enough cash to start filming The Vampire's Tomb at Lugosi's house when Lugosi suddenly passed away.
What plan will you follow now?
Plan 9. It's been absolutely impossible to work through these earth creatures. Their soul is too controlled.
Plan 9. Ah, yes. Plan 9 deals with the resurrection of the dead.
Even Ed couldn't resurrect Lugosi, but he could certainly work around him.
Most filmmakers would decide that such a tremendous blow as your star dropping dead on the set would halt the project. You couldn't do it anymore. But he decided he wanted to finish up his masterpiece. So he rewrote the script and made a movie called Grave Robbers from Outer Space that became Plan 9 from Outer Space. The problem is his star is only in 2 minutes of film.
Ed's inspired method of killing off Lugosi in the film was an out-of-shot car crash.
The old man left that home, never to return again.
He came up on the ingenious idea of hiring his wife's chiropractor named Dr. Tom Mason, who's a good foot taller than Bela Lugosi, looks nothing like him. And he got this chiropractor to walk around in a Dracula cape, and he's got the cloak strewn across his face, so you really can't see what he looks like at all.
Bela's death wasn't Ed's only problem. As usual, he had run out of cash, but help was close at hand.
Downstairs, there was this landlord, and who was a Baptist, and his name was Reynolds. And he and Eddie became friendly, and all of a sudden, Eddie had the Baptist Church of Beverly Hills behind him.
I do know that Ed Wood, along with his entourage of friends, when they discovered that Reynolds was a religious fellow, that they began to play along those lines and showed a great interest in religion and the church. And they began to come around to the worship services on Sunday morning.
A deal was struck. Reynolds became the executive producer.
But he is gone now.
He also took a small part as a gravedigger. He's the one on the right. Ed had found his money, but on one strange condition.
One thing that Reynolds demanded was that Eddie be baptized. And in fact, he wanted me to go up there too. So anyway, and Tor Johnson. So Eddie says, okay, what the hell, I'll go along with it.
But it wasn't that simple, particularly when it came to baptizing the massive Tor.
He weighed about 400 pounds. The baptistry in the church couldn't accommodate his hulk. So the minister was a very enterprising man, so he talked one of the ladies in the church who had a swimming pool to allow Tor to be baptized in her swimming pool, along with several others of Ed Wood's devotees. And it was quite a sight seeing all these people being baptized in that swimming pool, and their hair was stringing, and their face was wet, and the mascara was running, and as it was quite a sight.
What they do to get money in Hollywood, I don't know. This was a nth degree, I think. But that's how they got their money.
People turning south from the freeway were startled when they saw 3 flying saucers.